Hi, Nige back here again, and I've got another inbox review, and we've got something a little bit special today. So we're going to be having a look at Zoukei-Mura's F-4C Phantom 2Y Weasel 4. Now, it's not very often I can get my grubby little hands on one of these, because they're not cheap, around about 55 to 60 pound. But I've been wanting to have a look at one of these for a long time. So in this boxing we get free marking options. I believe we will check that out more when we actually have a look. So I'm trying to read on the side, see if it says anything more about how many, but it's got the free markings, box art 1 and 2 others. So we'll have a look at that in just a second. So what we'll do, we'll get straight into the overhead and we'll get cracking. So straight away, we'll get cracking with the instructions. Like I said, it's the first time I've actually seen properly one of these. So we get this instruction manual, or booklet, should I say, all in black and white. So we've got the box art, we've got some real aircraft specifications. Open it up. We've then got a little bit of a blurb about it. Moving on to talking a little bit about the cockpit, the engine, the armament, the landing gear, and the Wild Weasel itself. So we then move on to the colour callouts, and I don't know what MC stands for. MC, so there we are. So MC is model colour, and MA is model air. So as you can see down here, we've got all those in there. Before we then move on to building up the actual, start with the cockpit. So we start with the seat. Looks quite a detailed seat with some decals that go on there. Before then we move on to the actual cockpit itself and the cockpit tub. With all the sidewalls, the floor. So there's quite a few parts that make up that. Still on the actual cockpit. So building the some of the bulkheads with all the colour outs. Then we've got the side panels going on, which will add the individual side panels, so that might make it easier to paint as well. Before we've then got part of the actual canopy, so that drops down onto the top, I believe, or it might be just part of the side walls. I can't actually remember. I built how many? I built one Phantom. Want to build more? Whether this one will be one, I don't know. Again, a bit more in the cockpit. Before then, we move on to doing the actual fuselage together. Fuselage size, little knobs going on. Lots of little detail going through this. Just bear with me a minute. Sorry about that, just somebody at the door. So we'll just crack on. We then move on to looking at the nose and the nose cone, adding little pieces, and then we've got different parts for different options. It doesn't say about putting any sort of weight in there. Then we move on to different how it should look. Lots. I'd have to do a lot of checking of this as I go through it to make sure I got the right bits and pieces. We then move on to the tail and the tail assembly, and then on to the engine. So we have 2 full engines with this kit. You can, as it says in here, store them at least one out of the aircraft. I don't tend to do anything like that. That's just me. And then we've got the intake ducts, the air ducts. Before we then move on to... All right, let's have a look at this. You've got to cut parts out to change the nose section. Again, if I was going to do this, I'd make sure I understand what I would doing. But literally, you then add another part onto the nose. But I'd have to read into that and why we're doing that. We then got the belly plate where we've got to drill some holes out. adding the engines and the intakes into there, and how it should look actually when in there. Adding the upper wings to the lower wings with the wheel wells going in. Then we move on to adding some parts into the nose bay for the wheels. Then adding the main fuselage onto the wing section before it's showing how it should look. Adding the, well not adding, sorting out the intake parts there. So open the next page. And adding those parts to the side of the fuselage. Very, very busy instructions. Have to really concentrate when doing these. Both sides. Then we start looking at the engine exhaust area, the nozzles. So we've got some rings to put on there before we then add the actual nozzles themselves. So this will help in painting these parts first before adding them. Moving on to adding the control surface, or flap slats, and all that sort of stuff on both sides. The different angles we need to have, the slats, the dihedral of the actual wingtips. Again on both sides. And then we've got the outer wing parts. Adding the tail hook onto there before then adding the tail planes and showing you the angles for those. Wheels. Next we're looking at the undercarriage. So we've got the undercarriage leg with the wheels added, the undercarriage doors going on. So the small front one, the side one, before we then move on to the main wheel. For both sides, main wheel doors, what the aircraft should look like when it's sat. So approximately 85 degrees, so they should be angled forward slightly. Little parts, adding little pier tubes, other doors, slats, flaps and air brake doors and stuff like that. Then we add the seat and the instrument panel coning before we move on to adding the canopy. Okay, so we've got the canopy just like so. If you're having the canopy closed, it's just one big section. We've then got a fuel tank, some wing fuel tanks, some AIM 7 Sparrows going added. Some more pylons for some more weapons. So the AGM 45 going on there. Some more pylons looking like. Okay, yeah, so some more pylons. Adding those to the aircraft. A ladder. Before then we move on to what this part is. Example how to cut off. So it's just telling you how to cut off certain parts, how to clean it up and stuff like that, which I suppose is good. So you can, right, okay, so you can model it with the tail leaning forward. You just need different parts to be able to do that. And then we've got all the sprue map or the runner map. So that's quite an involved instruction manual. We're then going to move on to the different marking options. So we've got marking option 1 from RTFB, Car Thailand, November 1972. Supercock Swiss sampler. So there we are. And then for the belly and upper parts, And then we've got example 2, again from 1972, jailbait. And then example number 3, Germany, July 1975. And I can't see anything on there, the name of the aircraft. All right, that's that. With this, we get a vinyl mast set for the canopy. And we'll look at the decals now, since we've got them out. And the decals are printed by Cartercraft, so I can't see there being any issues with these whatsoever. They look really nice. So we'll move straight into the plastic parts. These bags are all open already. Okay, so there we are. Straight away, belly and wings and tail fins. Some really nice detail. Some really refined rivet detail are all around this, and panel lines. Even some in the air brake area. One piece solid tail fins, tail planes, upper wings for the slats, and the control surfaces. So really nice all around. Moving next onto the fuselage. So again, really nice refined panel lines, really nice small rivets. The clamshell part of the back is done really well. It's designed so it looks like it's like overlapping, which is what it actually looks like. Tail hook just there in the middle. The rings for the engines. And the fuel tank just down there. Some of the weapons. So we've got our boarding ladder. We have our weapons and our fins. All really nice locating parts just there and there. So it should go together really well. Some nice detail on there all around. This sprue is exactly the same as the last one, so we'll not open that one up. So another sprue, just need to open it. Another sprue of the tanks and some more weapons. Again, some really nice detail. The fins are actually really thin. These ones could probably do with a little bit thinner, but I don't know how you're going to thin those down. That one's exactly the same as what we just looked at. So the next one, we have these ram parts for the intakes. We have the nose, some more flaps and slats. So again, some good detail on the back of the air brakes. The doors, some nice detail on those as well. The only downside is in these parts just there, and there. You can just see some injection pin marks. How that will be hidden, well, will it be hidden? I don't know, but I have to have a look at it. Moving on to our engine. So like I said, two fully detailed engines. We've got our intakes, our actual landing bay. On the inside, yes, you're probably going to have to get rid of a seam line, at least down this sort of area here. But there's nothing else inside that you need to worry about. Nicely detailed engine nozzles just there. Cockpit parts. So we've got our seats, our cushions, and the nice that the cushions have got some fabric detail on there. Same as this one, so that's the headrest part. We've got our pull cords, our cockpit sidewalls, and our nose bay. Side of the seat has some wiring on there. It'd be nicely picked out with a wash. The bulkheads. Nice detail all around. So we've got another set of engine nozzles there and rings. And vents, wheels. I like the look of these wheels. Some nice detail on those wheel hubs. Another set of tailplanes, or not actually, that's probably the wingtip. We have our central spine, pylons, all one piece. So again, a lot of really nice detail. A weapon set and some instrument panels. So we've got an instrument panel just here. We've got some of these radar modules that go on the nose. More weapons with fins. And that bit that you have to cut out and reattach just there. Again, another instrument panel, some panels on the side, really nicely detailed. With a quick dry brush or something similar, we'll pick all that out. The tail section and the instrument coning. And then we move on to the main, oh sorry, not the main, the clear parts. Crystal clear, no mold line on any of these, so you don't have to worry about getting rid of those. Really nicely done. So there we are. There's Zoukei-Mura's wide Weasel. Really nice kit. Yeah, it's one of those that I'll look forward to building at some point. I don't know what it'll be, but it's definitely one I'll look forward to building. I can't see any harnesses, so that might be one thing to add. I couldn't even remember seeing any in the decals. But yeah, it looks really, really nice. Lots of really fine detail. Though you'd have to concentrate on the instructions. Make sure you mark off what you've done, what you need to add, and stuff like that. Because I think that's the falling down with this kit. It's really complicated within its instructions. That you'll need a lot of time to decipher them properly and make sure you don't make any mistakes and miss any parts. Because it's the instructions are very, very busy. There's a lot of information on there. So yeah, just make sure you take your time with that. All right. Anyway, that's it from me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.